In the news tonight, Fiji records new daily toll. Australia responds to Fiji's plea. No change in age recommendation for use of vaccine.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Bulavanaka, Fiji. Fiji recorded a new daily toll of 150 COVID-19 infections today, the fourth day this week for us hitting the triple digits. We will have all the statistics later, but we now join Apinisa Wangairandovu live. Apinisa, a new cluster has been identified as well.
Atela, the new cluster is from the Nasese Medical Center, with one new case reported today, adding to the 6 cases already in this cluster. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says of the 150 new cases reported today, 117 are linked to existing clusters. There have also been 2 cases reported to the FEMAT facility in Laudala Bay in Suva and are currently under investigation. 23 cases recorded between the Lami Nosore containment zone are also under investigation. Of the cases recorded today, some of the highest being 32 from the Colonial War Memorial Hospital in Suva, 26 linked to the Fiji Pharmaceutical Biochemical Services, and 18 are from the Townhouse Hotel in Suva. Also, another investigation into the death of the 49-year-old man at the CWM hospital reported yesterday is now completed. The Permanent Secretary says the patient's doctor at CWM have determined that his death was a result of the severe non-COVID-19 pre-existing medical condition. He was receiving treatment during his admission at the hospital. Ateda.
Naka Penisa. Fiji's COVID-19 response and mitigation efforts will be further strengthened with the assistance of the Australian Medical Assistance Team. This follows the announcement made by the Australian government that it will be deploying an AUSMAT team in response to Fiji's plea for help in containing the spread of COVID-19. Koroitandulala reports.
The Australian government says this is part of their continued commitment to stand with their Fijian Vulvale.
We are in discussions with Australia about a range of areas for their continued support, including contingency options.
And so an AUSMAT team is a specialist team that goes out, assesses the situation on the ground. It's a team of highly qualified professionals who are there to seeing what other resources or assistance might be needed.
The multidisciplinary AUSMAT team will include members from Australia and New Zealand and will be deployed for an initial period of 28 days.
An AUSMAT team is typically a small team of advanced professionals, so 7 or 8, and then what they are there to do is to provide a lot of advice and logistical support to other relevant health authorities. In the past, we've provided, we've helped to fund locally based health staff in Fiji.
The team will work with the Fijian Ministry of Health and will provide immediate support for health system management and infection prevention control, as well as assessments of Fiji's priority health needs. Koroitandulala, FBC News.
The Ministry of Health says Fiji maintains the stance to use the AstraZeneca vaccine on people ages 18 and above. The ministry released a joint statement with the World Health Organization as Australia announced changes to age recommendations for the AstraZeneca vaccine. The Ministry of Health says Fiji, alongside 22 other countries globally, has successfully and safely administered over 2 billion doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine to people aged 18 years and older.
A team of experts have been working with WHO and looking at, what happens in other jurisdictions, and at the moment, we advise and suggest that those 18 and above that.
The World Health Organization's recommendations for Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines remain the same, with the vaccines recommended for individuals aged 18 years and over. The joint statement says vaccines have undergone the strictest safety and quality control trials and have reached the exacting standards of safety, purity, and effectiveness. A COVID-19 contingency group is now manning the Rewa Emergency Operations Center. This was confirmed to FBC News by the Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong following the surge in the number of cases recorded from Rewa EOC in the last few days. FBC News understands that the team from the Rewa Emergency Operations Center was taken to Nandi for isolation last night. 8 cases have been recorded from the Rewa Emergency Operations Center, possibly linked to the Wunimono cluster. The continuous COVID-19 related arrests of those breaching curfew orders, health restrictions and measures is posing a major threat to police operations. Acting Commissioner of Police Rusiati Tundravu says with the increasing number of COVID-19 cases being recorded from the community, the force is wary and ensuring their officers are well protected when executing their duty. Apinisi Wangarandova reports.
As transmission is now becoming widespread in Viti Levu, even the law enforcement fears the risk COVID poses on their operations.
We are also looking at the internal security of the personnel themselves, the police officers, because whom we are arresting are in the community, and it's really I'm saying that we are very cautious at this point in time because we do not know who we are taking into our custody.
The acting commissioner of police is calling on the public, particularly those who continue to breach measures, to change their attitude.
The longer we disregard advisories, the longer we'll be staying like this. So if we can just come in together and support the government approach, I think we should at least we should be back to some normalcy. And
the observance of the time restrictions that are there. And really, that is to try and ensure that we don't commune or we don't mass gather, because these are areas in which we can be able to spread the virus.
Police says that Fiji's current environment requires total obedience. Social gatherings for cover and alcohol consumption continue to top the list of arrests on a daily basis. Apinisa Wangarandovu, FBC News.
And to our latest COVID-19 update for today, there were 150 new COVID-19 cases recorded in the last 24 hours. Once again, most cases are in the Central Division. All cases were recorded between the Lami to Nosori containment zone. There's one new cluster in this zone, which is the Nasese Medical Center. Fiji has had 1,728 cases since April, and there are currently 1,311 active cases in isolation, with 473 recoveries in total. The COVID death toll stands at 6. Up ahead, slight demand in rental properties in the Western Division, and residents in care homes vaccinated. Welcome back. The real estate agents in the Western Division are seeing an increasing demand for rental properties, as most who have already served their 14-day mandatory quarantine in designated hotels look for a temporary home. The Bayshore Real Estate Director says most of these Fijians are now looking for long-term rental properties due to the current situation, as they find it difficult to pay for hotel accommodations after their quarantine. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Bayshore Real Estate Director says this is providing some economic activity for the sector.
We are able to relocate families, those coming out of quarantine or those who are stranded here. They're moving out of hotels into long-term rentals, knowing that we are in the midst of a lockdown.
Despite the increase in the demand for rental properties, the declining rental income continues to be a challenge for the agents and landowners.
This has created the demand, and it's helped some of the landlords while others are still struggling, and rental income, rather the rent amount per month has declined up to 50% in Nandi.
The Real Estate Association president says dealing in rental properties is easy and agents can get money quickly.
Rental properties, most of the smaller companies and most of the companies, they do rental business because that's quicker money.
After the easing of some restrictions, the real estate agents have been able to open offices following the approval from the Ministry of Commerce and Trade. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Close to 200 senior citizens in care homes around Vitilevu have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation says it is encouraging to see these vulnerable Fijians choose to protect themselves. Apelisa Wangarandova reports.
The unit responsible for senior citizens says this elderly citizen knows the importance of getting vaccinated.
I can confirm that for the 3 aged care facilities in government, we've vaccinated those ones, and we're working on, and I think in the central division, we've had the heart nursing home, the home of compassion PS home, and it's work in progress to, that's a KPI for us to have them all vaccinated.
Malina Mbuli says seeing these senior citizens voluntarily receiving their dose is encouraging, especially with much misinformation being spread around recently.
They are probably leading, with wisdom to encourage the young ones that are probably villainating the strategy to get vaccinated.
The Minister for Health says senior members of the community can also receive their shots at their homes.
Those who are not able to come to the vaccination sites, our mobile team can go across. For those who are immobile and at home, to be vaccinated at home.
The aged care homes look after senior citizens mostly above the age of 60. The minister says numbers have increased in these homes since the pandemic. Apeniso Ngrandovu, FBC News.
The hustle continued at the Longani border as people flooded both ends of the checkpoint throughout the entire day today to exchange items with their loved ones and vendors trading their produce. It was a normal working day for our frontliners at the border, whereas for some Fijians it was a chance to earn some income. Sanyani Boiler reports.
Longani border was buzzing ever since 4 a.m. as people barter, receive supplies and run errands way before the evening curfew.
I came to drop some stuff for my sister. She's on lockdown with her kids and she has left me with the other cousins at home alone. So I just came to drop her luggage because they ran short of clothes.
For Iowane Wanga, they continue to make exchanges at the border to help facilitate a funeral happening in his village in Longani.
We came to drop some stuff for the funeral. We are just waiting to have our names called by the officer. It's really hard, but we have to accept the fact that this is how it will be for some time before it's normal again.
Teto Bakalalandawui says with the new normal, he had no other choice but to wait until officers call him up for exchange.
I am waiting to receive a parcel from Matadaldau in Tailevu. It's been an hour now and I'm still waiting.
Frontline workers are seen working to ensure that exchanges are made in a more efficient manner while complying with the COVID-19 procedures and protocols for the safety of people at the border. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
A non-governmental organization has assisted Fijians in need from 17 different areas in Navua. Bhakti Mag Navua has been visiting villages in remote areas and assisting single parents, Fijians with disabilities and those that are medically challenged. Founder Avineshwar Dutt Sharma says there is an increasing demand for assistance and they are providing whatever help they can offer. Sharma has urged religious heads to be there for the community and to serve people more proactively.
I would like to thank the government of the day for doing all they are able to do. But at the same time, I request that the advisory councillors, the religious heads, the cultural organization, it is our responsibility to be the first point of contact people for our community.
Ahead in sports, endurance key for Fijiana Sevens. And we have the latest Euro 2020. This and more coming up. Welcome back. The challenges that Fiji is facing with the COVID-19 pandemic is a source of motivation for the Fijiana Sevens team. En route to the Tokyo, Japan Olympic Games, head coach Sayasi Fuli says the impacts of the pandemic faced by Fijians is what drives the national team. He says the team has been reminded to keep in mind the tough situation each individual is facing in the country and use it as a tool to tackle hurdles that come their way.
We have to endure, we have to go through it, we have to test ourselves against those kinds of situations and bring that into the rugby field.
Having the chance to compete against some of the best in Australia is a blessing in disguise for Fiji swimming. Training, competitions and preparations for the swimmers have been affected since the first wave of the pandemic, but this did not dampen their spirits. President Ben Rova says the swimmers are motivated more than ever to chase their dreams.
Their preparations hasn't been the best that they would have wished for. I know they've been doing their training with the limited resources that they've been able to access. But we're hoping that with this additional assistance, it will just take them to another level.
Panthers star Nathan Cleary was simply in sublime form, inspiring Penrith to another big win in the NRL last night. Cleary returned on a high for round 15 after the first State of Origin round to orchestrate a 38-12 victory over the Roosters. England and Scotland played out a goalless draw to leave both countries with their hopes of reaching Euro 2020's knockout stage very much alive. Scotland bounced back stronger from their loss to the Czech Republic in round 1, showcasing resilience and character to seize the important point. Czech Republic held on to its hope of securing a spot in the top 16 after securing a 1-1 draw against Croatia. The Czechs kept Croatia at bay after they equalized to earn a point. Sweden took a huge step towards qualifying for the last 16 at Euro 2020 with a 1-0 win over Slovakia. A second-half penalty to Emil Forsberg kept their hopes alive as they lead Group E a point ahead of Slovakia, who will face Spain next. Argentina managed to get to its first win in the Copa America after defeating Uruguay 1-0 in their second Group B match. Guido Rodriguez headed a lone goal of the match through a Lionel Messi pass. Mainly fine weather conditions prevailed over most places today in the west. It was sunny. It was a sunny day with cloudy afternoon. East was from Pacific Harbour to Suva, a pleasant day with sunny conditions. Up north, clear skies with cool temperatures. At sea, east to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tide, the next high tide is at 1:49 a.m. tonight, with the next low tide at 8:17 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:37. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over Vanua Levu, Taviuni, Lau Group, eastern parts and interior of Viti Levu. Elsewhere, mainly fine, cool nights. Looking further onto Monday, fine apart from brief showers over the eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands. Recapping our main stories, 150 new COVID-19 infections recorded with a new cluster identified. OSMAT team to assist in Fiji's COVID-19 response effort, and no change in age recommendation for use of vaccine. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we're asking, do you prefer online shopping during this pandemic? Visit our FBC News website to answer. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos via email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports, and also listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news for tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow. Stay safe. Madamanda.